Well, hello and welcome to another Tyrrell's Classic Workshop. And we're back with this marvel of British engineering and American, the Jensen FF, or Ferguson formula. I covered this video quite a while back, actually when we just got it back from Ryan, who did a beautiful job at Cheshire Prestige Paintworks, as usual. And this is its original colour, which is something grey, mist grey over crystal blue, I believe. And this is what it left the factory with in January 1969 or thereabouts. But this car, just to recap briefly, the Jensen FF, the Ferguson formula, it was the first ever car to have, road car, to have four-wheel drive and anti-lock brakes. And it got the anti-lock brakes technology from Dunlop, the tyre manufacturers, who also did other forms of technology at the time. And they adapted the anti-lock braking system off airliners. These days we take such things as soon as the main undercarriage of an aircraft touches the ground, the brakes come on, the heat packs in the braking system come on and retard the plane. But if it's pouring with rain, they have got anti-lock brakes on them. And the pioneering system that was used on the Havilland Comet, really the first successful jetliner before the Boeing 707 basically took over and was hugely successful, used this system. It was used on quite a lot of aircraft. So we've actually taken a bit of a course through this because it's complicated and it's old, and they are not wonderful combinations. So we've actually bypassed the Dunlop Maxaret braking system and put it back to standard Jensen brakes on the cheaper Interceptor, the more normal car. But this was a revolutionary car. It really was. It married the Chrysler 6.2 litre V8 with the TorqueFlite automatic transmission. And that lot was put into this, and then there was a transfer gear box put on the back of the TorqueFlite, which distributed the drive to the front and back, not just the back, but the front and back of the car. And that's why the passenger footwell on this car has actually got a great big bulge in it that runs right along the side of the seat and into the footwell to accommodate all the gubbins, all the four-wheel drive technology. So it's a very, very interesting car, this. And Jensen, I think, I haven't actually done any internet research before making this, but I think they made just over 300 FFs in total. It wasn't much, over quite a wide production span, I think about 5 years, something like that. But a very, very interesting car, this. And in fact, I'll take this opportunity to talk about prices, which are always interesting. Here's my trusty Motor Show review from 1969, and we have the Jensen FF here, and in 1969 this was £7,705, and the new Aston Martin DBS V8, which was no mean car. In fact, it was, I think, one of the fastest 2+2 cars of that time. That was £6,897. The Aston Martin DB6 Mark II was £4,833, and the Bentley T-Series was £7,894. So the Jensen Interceptor was £5,838, and as I say, the FF was £7,705. To put that into perspective, my parents bought a very nice but 3-bed semi in 1969 for £6,000, and this was largely the day before financing was in vogue for cars. So people bought them on the Never Never, put a deposit down, personal contract plans, HP, whatever. To my recollection and my knowledge, I wasn't very old in 1969, but certainly wasn't old enough to start getting finance or buying cars. But I think you actually just wrote a check out, and that was it. You had the money in the bank. you either bought a very nice house or you bought a Jensen FF. Simple as that. Remarkable, really. Changed days. But we've done a lot of work on this car. In the previous video, I took it out on road test, and it didn't make a very good account of itself, actually. There was the most alarming noise coming from the front end. The speedo needle was doing this. The automatic transmission, the linkage, there's a mechanical linkage between the throttle mechanism on the engine, the throttle linkage, and the kick-down mechanism on the side of the transmission. It goes like that down to the side of the transmission on the left-hand side there. That was actually not working at all, so the transmission was not kicking down or going down a gear when you wanted to accelerate. So it had the makings, but the front end in particular, the other thing was the ride was very harsh at the back. You went over a bump and you really knew about it. It was almost, not quite, but almost like the Lamborghini tractor I drove in last week's video. Not a pleasant place to be. Very counter Jensen. So we've done quite a lot of work on this car. Alex has done the most amazing job of refurbishing the engine compartment visually, as he does. We've got hold of an original pair of rocker covers, the pressed tin plate Chrysler rocker covers that went over each side of the engine, the top there, and they're painted silver. And the exhaust manifolds on this engine are an unusual design in that they come up alongside the cylinder heads and then down. So there's a lot of heat floating about that area, and it's actually caused the paint to peel off. So we're going to have to address that. That's very frustrating, but hey-ho, it obviously happened at the time. But with modern technology and heat-proof paints and things, we reckon we can give it a proper fix and a permanent repair. So we've got to do that. But the noise on the front end particularly concerned me, and I thought it was going to be the differential. As the prop shafts split, you've got Salisbury were the go-to British differential company at the time. They made limited slip differentials and they made ordinary differentials for the likes of Jaguars, Aston Martin, and Jensen. So you had a conventional diff at the back and a diff rotating the other way round. So the shaft came underneath at the front of the engine, and then the drive shafts came out either side. I was convinced the diff was shot, one of the bearings in it, transmitting noise through. Fortunately, it wasn't. It was the wheel bearing on that side. It was very loud. Marcus stripped the hub. Fortunately, parts are very readily available for these, quite a lot of them. We got some new bearings and seals, rebuilt the hub with obviously fresh grease, etc., made it all lovely, and it has cured the front end noise. So I'm very happy. Craig's made a new set of carpets up for it, which we've covered in previous videos. Pete has taken the wooden veneered, burr walnut veneered center console section out, and we've had that re-varnished, re-lacquered in wood, and it now looks absolutely magnificent. We've done loads of work on this car, and it has transformed it. We've adjusted fortunately the rear shock absorbers could be adjusted. I've backed the pressure off on those by a little adjustment screw on the back, and I have driven it at various stages. We've still got a little bit of work to do, but this car is essentially finished now. We've taken the sump off the automatic transmission, and we've set up the kick-down mechanism according to the workshop manual, according to specifications. And Marcus assures me it's working now. So yeah, I'm very happy with the way this car's turned out. It looks stunning. The owner's about to put it on the market. Now it's finished. We've even got the original beautiful little fire extinguisher, easy for me to say. And it's almost finished now. So we'll take the car for a run and see how it performs on the road. I've got high hopes of this car now. I think it's going to be quite special. Well, it's amazing how simple things can make or break a car. And the driving position in this is actually extremely comfortable. It really is lovely. The just the shape of the seat and the support, the steering wheel falls easily to hand. It's surprising how many car manufacturers get this simple sort of thing wrong. We've just got a tiny bit of rain here now, but and it's lovely to be driving this car because it's a real piece of Jensen history, this car. I didn't mention it earlier. I did cover this in the first video, but this was a Jensen press car, so the registration number, the British registration, SEA 444G, was on this car from new, and then it went to a museum in Australia, and then because of the historical significance of the car and the fact that they were able to, with a paper trail, prove it against chassis number, it's now back on SEA 444G. And the importance of that is that it was included in road test articles at the time, this very car, and therefore it's nice to have the registration number back on the car so it can be directly linked back to the late 60s and early 70s. And the unique part about this car is that Giovanni Agnelli, the Italian industrialist, one of the wealthiest men in Italy in the late 1960s, a real playboy, international jet setter, sent a telex to the Jensen press office saying, "Can you please loan Mr. Agnelli, Signore Agnelli, a Jensen FF for him to try? We know not why, but it happened." And during the summer of 1969, he was driving around northern Italy in this car, and through some sort of historical cross-referencing and detective work, it's more than likely that Jackie Onassis, Jackie Kennedy, possibly Sophia Loren were both in this car in 1969. How amazing is that? What some utterly lovely posteriors to be deposited on the passenger seat. So yeah, it's so interesting to drive a car, even in slightly wet Britain, of such historic importance, really. If only we had some photographs of some of the snapshots of the people who have travelled in this car, and we've gone to such great lengths to get this car right. It really has been a job of work. I'm just warming it through now to get all the T's and P's, the temperatures and pressures up to speed, and then we'll try the kick down. I can already tell the ride is smoother. It's much better. Yeah, this is a very nice place to be now. The one of the other problems we had was that the speedo needle was moving about all over the place, as people were very quick to comment, which is actually fine. We've got a new speedo cable and it's pretty steady now. Pretty steady. So I'm going to just see now if we have liftoff, aka kick down. Probably going a bit slowly there. Yes! Lovely. That's more like it. I'm actually going too fast for it now. Let's try that again. Yes. Accompanied by that 383 cubic inch V8 induction roar. It just changes the car. That damping at the back end, it's beautifully smooth. We've also done some work on the steering column because there was play in the steering column up and down, and that can take away from the pleasure of driving a car as well. Just the steering column bearings being worn. But oh, this is lovely now. It really is. Down into first. Kicking down beautifully. Yeah, this is it's amazing how small adjustments can make such a difference to a car. They really can make or break it. It just wafts along, this car now. It really does. I'm just barely touching the steering wheel. It's going where you want. It is a very, very nice car to drive, this. It soaks up the bumps. The body is well controlled. It's taken a lot of perseverance to get to this stage with this car, but it's paying off. It really is. And the noise, that front end noise which dominated the last video, and we'll try and put a link up to the last video, the first one that we did on this car. The fact that there's none of that horrible, harsh noise from the front end, that grinding, growling noise that only a very worn bearing can give. The fact that that's not there is fantastic. I do have confidence in this car now, which I did not before. It gives one a sense of confidence, and it's as good underneath as it is on top, this car. It really is in very, very good condition now. We've had the bumpers re-chromed, they've been off. It's had quite the schedule of work. I'm just going to try the kick down. Even that makes such a difference, just being able to access the engine's power curve without going crazy. We'll just try it again. Yes, there it is. And this thing is fast. It's actually seriously fast. I think it was about 135 miles an hour, which of course nowadays a souped up hot hatch can do that, and a lot more. But there it is, just that. And the funny thing is, this engine, the earlier Chrysler V8, it then went on to the 440G on the series, I think the series 3s, but maybe the later series 2 Interceptors. And it doesn't, I believe, it doesn't actually generate any more power than this engine, because the emissions regulations strangled the engine so much in the early 70s. They had to go for larger displacement engines, and hence more fuel guzzling, simply to compensate for the detuning of the engines. So they altered the valve lift, made it smaller so it couldn't breathe as much air, the valve timing, so it was less optimal, so it was more compromised towards a slightly more clean burn. But this car is not bogged down with any of that. It's got the original 383 6.2 litre Chrysler engine, and it feels really lively. There it is again, and we're off. Oh, lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Ride, handling, acceleration, burbling along, wafting. I think this ticks a lot of boxes now. I really do. No wonder these cars were so expensive when they were new. No wonder Mr. Agnelli wanted to get his hands on it. Yeah, it was sort of an ultimate of its era. Yeah, very happy with this. I can sign this off. Job well done. Well, that concludes another Tyrrell's Classic Workshop video. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll be back with something else very soon.